Ifeoma collided against Prince Sonto's bare chest, and they both felt a spark. Part 7 of Ifeoma and the Curse Prince. Fully armored guards were standing behind King Shaba, and were awaiting the king's order to mishandle Ifeoma where she stood. Ifeoma stammered shyly before revealing the golden ring she had slipped into her pocket. "Where did you find this?" King Shaba asked, his voice breaking as he grasped the small, delicate golden ring with tiny black diamond stones around the star-shaped emerald gemstone. The ring belonged to his late wife, Ogechi. Ifeoma had found it underneath the prince's bedstand when she was cleaning, and had used it as her alibi in case she got caught. King Shaba smiled as he continued to look at the ring in his hand, remembering all the memories he shared with the love of his life. He excused all the guards and Ifeoma from his room. As Ifeoma was walking down the hallway, she kept glancing back to check if she was being followed. She didn't see the prince in front of her. "Sorry, my prince." She fell to the ground to get the stolen keys that had dropped down from underneath her dress as she collided against Prince Sonto's masculine chest. She got back on her feet and looked up at him. Prince Sonto froze on the spot. It was the closest he and Ifeoma had ever been, and the first time he had noticed the color of her eyes. "I am sorry, my prince," Ifeoma said, and walked away in a hurry because she was not comfortable with the way he stared down at her, like he could see through her. Ifeoma left the palace and went straight to the dungeon to see the old witch. It was more difficult for her to navigate the dungeon since she had grown and couldn't pass through tiny spaces. Her only hope was that the guards were no longer as alert as before. She opened the gate and unlocked the witch's chains. The weak old witch was surprised to see Ifeoma, who she recognized because of her blue eyes. She sneaked the witch through the tunnels in the dungeon and hid her in an abandoned farmhouse. She ran to the farm nearby and plucked some fresh mangoes for the witch. "I will come back for you when the sun comes down," Ifeoma told the witch, and also gave her the water she fetched. When she went back to the palace, she was shocked to see all her paternal uncles sitting and discussing with King Shaba. They had accepted the king's proposal on behalf of Ifeoma, and were willing to give her up for gold and diamonds. She bared the pain in her heart and continued her duties until the gong bell rang out loud. "The witch has escaped. The witch has escaped." One of the guards in the dungeon ran to the palace and announced in a trembling voice. She didn't expect the guards to notice the witch's disappearance so soon. 3 things were left for her to do before the king orders for all the passageway out of the kingdom to be blocked. She has to return the keys without being spotted. She has to sneak the witch out of the kingdom. And she has to meet with her mother so they could leave the kingdom. With all the commotions in the palace, Ifeoma tried to use the opportunity to hurry into the king's quarters, but she was stopped. No one was to enter into the king's quarters without his direct permission. Not knowing what next to do, Ifeoma ran to her mother and explained everything she had done. Her mother was disappointed. "Ifeoma, it is your decision. You have to choose between leaving this kingdom or helping the witch." Mama Ifeoma told her daughter. "I don't want the guards to find the witch," Ifeoma said. Mama Ifeoma took the truck she had arranged and followed her daughter to the abandoned farmhouse where the witch was hiding. They helped the witch inside the truck and were about to cover her up properly before she spoke. "Ask me of anything you want, my child, and I will do it for you, without anything in return." Ifeoma wanted to speak before a guard saw them from afar. Mama Ifeoma quickly covered the witch and called the guard to help her to push the truck. Before the guard came close, Mama Ifeoma urged her daughter to go to the king and accept his proposal, This is the only way for you to return the keys before he notices." Mama Ifeoma knew that the guards wouldn't let her daughter leave the kingdom, since her uncles had given her up to marry the prince.